Welcome, Winthrop residents. My name is Alec Mavrakis. I'm the founder and co-chairperson for Citizens for Fair Balanced Government. I'd also like to introduce Cynthia DiLoretto. She's a co-chairwoman of Citizens for Fair and Balanced Government. We want to thank WCAT for airing our first of 3 presentations. Each show is going to be is televised Saturday, Monday, and also Wednesday for the next 2 weeks, with the exception of the week of the override, which is going to be Saturday, Monday, and also on Election Day. I want to give you a brief history about Citizens for Fair and Balanced Government. CFBG is better known as is a watchdog organization. We were established in August 6th of 2003. Our main mission is to keep Winthrop affordable for all our citizens, and also to keep our elected and appointed officials accountable to you, the citizens of Winthrop.
We love this town. We love this town as much as everybody else does. However, where we differentiate is how we bring money in.
We spent thousands of hours over the past 6.5 years to bring our principles and philosophy to the community of Winthrop itself. We believe that Winthrop should be utilizing our natural assets in order to bring development and growth to this community. Our opposition believes that taxing you is the only answer to Winthrop's success. That's where we differentiate. Cindy, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just don't understand a lot of times why, people want to just pay more taxes, and there's more to this town with our natural assets and debt that has been developed over time, and why people don't want to listen and understand that we are trying and put a lot of time, as much as everybody else, to prove and to show that there's better ways of bringing revenue into this town as opposed to just taxes.
I agree with you 100%. We have one of the only communities in Massachusetts, believe it or not, that has not developed their waterfront assets in over 60 years. And I mean, that's really a shame.
It is a shame.
We've got a lovely, lovely community, great people. We have a wonderful outer harbor, a great inner harbor looking at Boston that could be developed out, and nothing is being done. When talking about an override at this particular point is as detrimental as you can possibly get. Lost jobs. 50% of your retirement fund has lost in the past year. Increased threats of a $5 to even a $7 toll hike.
Right.
40% increases, up to a 40% increase in mass sales tax. Increased gas tax, up to $2. I paid $2.05 the other day for gasoline. It's climbing up again. A 20% increase in your food cost. Water rates up in 2008 by 25%. 2009, they're projecting another increase, and it's supposed to be a substantial increase from what we get. So at what breaking point really does the citizen, think about it and stop? Okay.
Across the board, we have been advocating no, not to hurt any particular department. We are saying no to all questions because we need to send a strong message to the council to begin to listen to the citizens and not a select few. Other communities have led by example by making adjustments in their working hours and taking a day off like Lynn has. Other fellow employees who took temporary pay cuts to keep their fellow employees working. We at CFBG are aware that certain departments in Winthrop are working without a contract for the past 2 years, and we appreciate that and we thank you. But have the schools followed the lead of the fellow Lynn teachers? Has the school told you that they received a $400,000 from the federal stimulus package? Has the schools told you that they received $250,000 from the stabilization fund? Has the school told you that they have been running a $100,000 deficit in the food service department for decades? Has the school told you that the hundreds of thousands of dollars that in their deficits that is an additional tax to you? Has the school committee or the town council told you that the auditors from Roselli and Clark told the Winthrop town government to make whatever changes are necessary to fix the deficit?
That's really frightening if you think about it. $100,000 deficit, and we're talking this year, but we've also talking about many years down the road. And I guess the key to our philosophy is that fixing the deficit doesn't mean charging you more taxes. It means the council and the school committee have got to get together and they have to fix this deficit once and for all. It's time to stand up, folks. It's time to make some changes in this community that we, the citizens, have demanded. Council's got to start listening to what the citizens have to say. CFBG's position, our position from 2003, is to bring new revenues from new sources, not revenues coming in from the existing sources, which just happen to be you and I. All right? It's time to bring Winthrop to life. We have a wonderful community, a real potential gold mine sitting here for us to work with. We understand, that our plan is not going to be a cure-all for all of Winthrop's financial woes. We know that. We've known that from 2003. But we also know that what resources we have available to us, if they had been worked on for the past 6.5 years or so, we probably wouldn't be in the financial dilemma we're in right now. Sitting here discussing another override, we'd probably have a surplus, or maybe even close to a surplus, but we wouldn't be in the financial mess we're in today. On my last letter, the last letter I wrote into the transcript was very clear. If town leaders helped to move the hospital project along, the town would have gained enough money to keep the library and the senior center open for the next 8 years without an override. Think about it. Just think about it.
I know.
Just think, if this council, for the past 3.5 years or so, had worked on the Crystal Cove project with the developers, if they worked closely with the hospital people, if they had worked with they own land in town right now, that a planning board member had indicated the other day, it's available for sale.
Right.
Just think if we had sold those items, developed some projects, and brought new tax revenues in, brought new revenues in from excise, had been able to develop a business community along the Crystal Cove area, how much nicer it would be and how much more potential money we would have to work with.
But to add to that, Alex, don't forget how difficult they make it for the developers that want to build here.
Oh, that I agree with. I totally agree with. And the other thing is that the council has really done nothing. I mean, they've got a tough job ahead of them. I know they do. They've done the best they can, but I don't believe that they've listened to the citizens of the community. When you don't listen, you can expect the same results in return.
Winthrop has attempted 5 overrides in the past 5 years. The voters said no 5 times. No other town in Massachusetts has ever put their citizens through such a negative experience. Town government wants to raise your taxes and implement a trash tax by $2.64 million through an override of fear, through a plan to divide and conquer, to pit one citizen against the other, one department against the other at your expense. Overrides create debt. An override has never created growth. An override has never created equity in your home. An override has added to your tax base forever and is compounded every year. Would you like to explain that compound, Alex, please?
Sure. I think there's a couple of issues I want to talk about in addition to the compounding of because some people may or may not understand. There's both an override and a 2.5 override. There's 2 separate issues. It starts off with the state law allows cities and towns to add 2.5% annually to the property taxes. That's a normal, that's a given. It's acceptable, okay? So, but they don't understand is that compounds itself. So I'm going to explain that in a little bit more detail in a second. Now, the 2.5 override is a law that allows cities and towns to ask their citizens to override or exceed the state levy of 2.5%. And that's what is going on at this particular point. The town is asking for more money than the state has allocated for them.